and welcome to TLE Talks. Today, our topic is League of Legends. I am your host, Revenite. I am the League of Legends League organizer, the head of casting and production here at the League Esports, a man of many talents indeed. Over here on the desk with me, I have Jay Pruitt. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Jared. I'm from Illinois, and I'm just a man of other talent.
And next to him, I have with me Log. Log, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hey, yeah, I'm Log. I live in Utah. I played this dang game for way too long, but I'm not going to stop. So, here we are.
Hold on a second, guys. What? You did not text me that we had dinner. Kira, I can't go. I'm just starting a podcast right now. All right. Kira, I'm sorry. You didn't tell me that we were going to go to dinner.
You hate to see that.
She's mad at me. All right. This is all live, by the way. We'll have to edit this
Good
at the YouTube
beginnings.
version. Yeah, you could. Thanks for texting me 23 minutes ago that we have dinner at 5 instead of letting me know earlier this week. No, you didn't tell me. All right. Anyways. Okay. Alrighty. So we're back. So we're here to talk about League of Legends stuff, right?
That's what I'm
Hopefully.
here for.
Noel, can I get unbanned from the server in
Oh
Discord?
my god. No, I went over this. We already did. I told him about it. Oh my god.
Indeed. All right. So right away, I have some topics for the three of us to discuss. Thanks, Hero. Nice to see you too. The first thing that I kind of want to discuss is League of Legends. Just recently dropped a patch on us, patch 9.3. Now, there's a few of us, those of us who are 80 carry mains that are out there, are very excited about this. Others may not be as excited about this. I just want to know what your guys' general thoughts about patch 9.3 are. We'll go ahead and start with Log.
Yeah, so patch 9.3. This is supposed to be the glorious patch that everybody's been waiting for since Irelia got reworked, and then Akali got reworked. This is the glorious day for those of us who are scared of these one-trick ponies that are Aurelia and Akali, and then occasionally Aatrox and Cassiopeia. They have finally received the nerfs that they need. That might just do them in. Maybe not for good. You'll probably see them pop up in solo queue just because they're that type of champion. But they're definitely not going to make a huge impact as they have been in the past, and that's what I'm very excited to see. Just like right off the bat, those guys are out of here, which obviously they're assassins, which means a glorious, along with the buffs, 80 carries are, I think, are going to take this meta by storm. I think that finally we're going to start seeing some marksmen. Caitlyn's going to make a comeback. She's got a handful of buffs under her belt. This is going to be exciting to see that. The gates have been opened, ultimately. The gates are open, and we are free to play whoever we want to experiment, because now these champions that used to suppress us and keep us down, they're no longer there to do that. They may try, but they're going to fail, because they receive the necessary nerfs to, I'm sure we'll talk about this later on, fail, but just briefly go over, they're finally in the spot where they should be. Maybe we'll see. The patch is still young. We'll see where it goes and how badly they did get nerfed and if it will really make a difference. But I think, based on what I've seen thus far, we are safe to solo queue, to say the least.
All right, JP, what do you think?
Currently, I think patch 9.3, yeah, I do agree it is a bit young, but I think the one thing that we've all looked forward to is the Akali completely getting gutted out. Not to mention they're taking away, or they did take away, her Q healing on minions, and they took away her W true invisibility under turrets to where she can't be shot. So now, early game, she is no longer a complete threat just to any possible champion mid lane. They got rid of all of her healing, they got rid of her turret diving, and that's just going to hurt her so much. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people are happy to see this. But with 9.3 also comes reverting of the crit items, and for some that means Yasuo is now god tier again, being S in every lane, meaning he can destroy top lane, he can destroy mid lane, he can destroy bottom lane, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. He goes back, gets early Phantom, doesn't even have to get boots. He buys Cloak after it, so you're talking 3,600 gold, and he has a 100% crit chance already. That's just something that I don't think a lot of people want to see, especially because getting the armor and health to fight against that is a longer of a process in order to actually fight against Yasuo.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you guys have already hit some of the more major points. I mean, I think the biggest, two of the bigger things that are incoming in this patch or have already been implemented in the patch, as we've had a couple of days to play on patch 9.3, are the 80 carry changes, right? The changes to the crit items for 80 carries. That's a really, really big one, as a lot of 80 carry mains, including myself, have been dying to see our role become relevant again, essentially, but also to see the fall of some of the more outstanding champions like Lissandra, Irelia, Aatrox, Akali. So as we look at some of the patch notes here, and and played a couple of the games, this basically kind of what I want to really like see from this patch are some new champions being played in that top lane role now. I don't know if you two have had a chance to really like look at how the. I mean, it's really early to tell for a lot of us, but some of the people, a lot of people come in with their own opinions on the patch notes on who's going to rise to the top and how far are those that are going to be nerfed come down. In my opinion, I think 9.3, we're definitely going to see the return of crit-based 80 carries. So we're going to see Caitlyn come back. We're going to see Tristana come back. We'll see Draven will, I think, be fine. But the one thing that's really curious for me is, do you guys think that with the return of crit-based 80 carries, do you think Jhin is going to come back? Or do you think Jhin is actually going to be hurt by this patch? Log?
I think Jin might just honestly stay where he's at. If anything, he might drop a little bit. Just yeah, the crit items have changed a little bit, but it's not really changing him as a champion. Like I don't know, I just feel like there is Jin, but there's better champions that could benefit off this that have received a lot of buffs. Like Caitlyn, for example, her ultimate is now really useful at all ranks. She has the items, everything she builds, all of her core items are all benefited by crit. I don't know. I feel like there's better picks than Jin. I love Jin. I love playing that guy. He's like one of the few 80 carries I can really get down. But with this patch, I don't think he'll switch up too much. I don't think too much will happen to him as far as like even with the items. Maybe he might see more play, but I don't think it'll result in more wins per se. But that's my stance on that.
Absolutely. This is an open discussion, so feel free to chime in at any time, Log and JP, when we're discussing things. What I really like to see, I think a lot of us can kind of agree, are the Akali changes that have come in on this patch. In my opinion, I think those changes will essentially not remove her from play completely, but she's definitely not like a very safe pick. She's more of a nuanced kind of a pick. Some of the other analysts that I've seen of the Akali changes, a lot of them kind of consider her to now be along the same situational kind of a pick like Kassadin, right?
Yeah, I agree. I actually have some of her stuff pulled up here, and apparently she is the possible worst mid laner right now. And I mean, not to say that I don't like seeing Akali play. I do give props to the people who do play Akali. She's very difficult, but it's just the fact that from the people who know how to play her, she's just such an abusive champion, but not much anymore, taking away her infinitely health taking Q and getting her whole point of turret diving people away just helps everyone to actually be able to deal with her even if she is fed. She's not that bad of a champion still. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you feed any champion, you're gonna get hurt from that champion. It's just she has a much easier to lane against Fate. She's actually able to be hurt in the beginning and not completely sustain forever.
Yeah, I mean, I think like these Akali changes are definitely going to set her back a little bit. I don't think like I said, it's not enough to really like knock her down from play completely. But what I really want, okay, I mean, you two might have differing opinions on this, but some of the changes I wanted to see obviously didn't happen here. Like for example, the Lissandra change is okay, but that's not really the problem or the reason why Lissandra is like the number one mid laner to play right now, right? Like everybody says, if you want to win, you pick Lissandra in the mid lane and you win, right? In my opinion, the only reason why she's such a good pick right now is because mid lane doesn't seem to be able to do enough damage right now to really like set her back, right? If you look at the champions that would normally counter her, like Zoe, for example, she doesn't quite have enough damage, or yeah, she doesn't quite have enough damage to really be able to to poke her down or things like that, right? Like she's just not as good of a mid laner as Lissandra does. I mean, do you guys have anything to say about that?
Honestly, when it comes to Lissandra, like I don't know. Yeah, she did receive a few like a slight nerf this patch, but like Lissandra herself, she's been like so good for so long, and I can't imagine like with the kit that she has. I think it's not like we don't have to worry about her damage. Like I think that's where other lanes can kind of benefit from. That's why we have so many like I don't know high damage like champions out there. To say like I guess to find a bit for the best term possible, I can find and explain that. But like Lissandra's so useful like kit wise, as long with her damage as well, to like allow more damage to go onto those champions that she subdues. So like with her ultimate, she can lock down a single target if she chooses so. If not, she can ult herself and still put out a lot of damage. Her Ring of Frost is so good. She has a lot of mobility. I think Lissandra is like still even with the nerfs, even with everything, even with the damage, all in consideration. I think Lissandra's still in like a good spot, and I think I don't know. It's hard to say for me right now. I'm not too well equipped in the mid lane, but when it comes to Lissandra, I do have a passion for that champion because I know how strong she is. Doesn't need too much damage. That's why Aftershock is actually a really like, or going for like the tank, I guess like Resolve and going Aftershock, going for a little beefier build with Lissandra. I think that's like really
But as far as like
it's strong for a reason.
as far as like team fighting goes, right? There are other champions that are out there that offer a lot more as far as a team fighting sense than even Lissandra does, right? Like, so why don't we see a lot of Orianna play right now? Why do we not see Galio being played very much all of a sudden? Why aren't we seeing very many like effective counters to Lissandra? Like, why does Lissandra get away with being able to go Aftershock, right? A build that essentially doesn't help increase her damage, but helps increase her tankiness.
Well, yeah, that's the thing though with Aftershock is like it benefits tankiness as well as her just like flat damage that she can put out. And with Galio, because you could honestly build Aftershock and Galio too, and see how that would work out, and probably wouldn't be too bad for you. You still have that hard CC, you still have that what it takes to activate it. So it could go for that. It's honestly just preference on like what team comp you're building, and I think Lissandra just goes in the better team comp. She's easier to play, easier to work around compared to like Galio, for example. You got to really have a lot of commitment with your team. You really have to know like what you're doing. You have to have the right champions to kind of go in, like a Jarvan or like a Zinja, somebody can get into the middle of the team. And I mean Orianna, it's just Orianna's probably the hardest to play champion out of all of them right now, just because she's still like really good. She'll always. I think she's just a kind of champion that will always remain strong, no matter what you do. Or maybe I'm sure if you nerf her to the ground, probably. But like she's in a really good spot where like she takes a lot of skill, and it's up to the player to like utilize that. But then once they figure that out, she becomes like a dominant laner, dominant everything. So there's nothing too necessarily wrong with Orianna, but like Lissandra's the easiest pick with what she has to offer. I guess would be like my stance on that.
Absolutely. We don't have a whole lot of time to really go in depth into things like that. But I guess for right now, Log, you had something that you wanted to talk about that I don't think we touched on yet.
Um, yeah. So one thing for sure is definitely the supports. So I'm one of those support mains. I'm one of those guys. that likes playing support. I get more satisfaction of helping people kill people, so I love watching that a little bit more and playing that a little bit more. I think with all these AD carry buffs, all these like strengths that the AD carries now have that bring to the table with all the crits and all like the just like buffs they've received like throughout the past patches, I think this is going to bring a lot of attention to the support role now in the sense of like switching up the champions a little bit because before you could opt into a mage like Cassiopeia or Swain or Rand even someone who like can hit a lot of targets at once with their kit, and you probably honestly like with that combination you want to go something tankier, somebody more bruisier like I don't say Braum, Tom Kench, Alistar. People just like are really hard to kill because the mages themselves already have like that are good in the bot lane. They already have like enough like sustainability to keep themselves into the game compared to what AD carries kind of lacked, which why they lost like a little bit of popularity along with their damage. But now since like they have that edge, the AD carries have that edge. I think we'll start seeing like more mage supports now. We'll start seeing more Lulu. We'll start seeing more Nami, more Janna, more Sona, champions that used to be really good with carries. That used to be really really strong in the meta not too long ago, but because Riot is Riot and they'll spice up everything they want. I think this change won't just bring about AD carry buffs, but now support buffs as well. Not necessarily direct buffs, but like the light is spread a little bit.
So what champions do you think? What champions do you think now that Patch 3 has come out and Zyra support Zyra received a little bit, not necessarily a nerf, but now people have to actually be able to hit skill shots essentially, um, because I believe it nerfed her plant damage, correct?
Yes, nerfed her base plant damage so that you have to like actually hit your spells as well. So you don't
Exactly.
just like activate your spells and miss the target completely. You have the plants do more damage than anyways.
So with the Zyra changes in here, who do you think is going to start to come back into the support lane? Do you think that we're going to see uh, more range supports like Lulu and Karma kind of come back with the new AD carry changes coming in, especially, or do you think it's going to kind of still loosely stay the same?
I think a little bit of both. Probably more towards Lucy stay the same for right now, just to be safe. Just because Tom Kench he's one of those champions he's too valuable to give up. Braum and Alistar are the same way. They'll always be part of the core meta. I do think we'll start seeing a little less Rakan and more like when it comes to the mages. I think Nami is going to make a lot more appearances. I think Soraka might even pop up here and there now that she won't get like harassed as much as by Zyra, or Zyra is a little more discouraged to play. It's not as easy to play her now. So off the top of my head, I can think already like Janna. She's like a champion who's really just like not looked upon as like she's a kind of I don't know an easy support to play, not too much to offer or bring to the table on first glance on the surface level. But like the amount of appeal that she can give to a carry is like arguably better than what Tom Kench can bring to the table. So I think those are the types of champions we'll start seeing with that. But again, we shouldn't be too shocked like to see like Alistar still being picked and Leona even just because they're just really great tanky supports. A really good complement to any team.
JP, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't deal a lot with bottom lane, so I don't know a lot about it. I just know that quite a bit of people are just playing a lot of the more damage per second, like kind of wave clearing people, such as like Lucian is still extremely popular, I've known, and he just does not seem to be. I don't think I've seen him being either nerfed, buffed. He's kind of still like up there, and he's like number in the top, but he's not really been moved around in the patch as much.
Absolutely. I mean, 9.3. I don't know if it's going to be like the. I mean, the biggest thing is really the 80 carry changes, right? Or not even the 80 carry changes. It's the itemization for 80 carries. The new Phantom Dancer looks really, really good right now. Essentially, it's the AD version of a Maul Malmortius, which I personally really like on 80s. So I'm kind of curious if the lifeline is going to be in that kind of kick in the coffin to make sure that assassins don't have a place in the meta now. Are we going to see less Rengar picks because 80 carries now can get Phantom Dancer to survive his burst just a little bit, and Also, we're gonna see. I mean, Storm Razor's got a change as well. That's something that we haven't talked about. Storm Razor's having the energized damage and then also the slowed. What do you guys think about Storm Razors having been changed like that? Whoever wants to go first.
I think I actually I had an encounter with this actually. I do not like how Storm Razor's slow is at all because people who are like constantly attacking, such as Jinx and the people who have a lot of like base their stuff off attack speed and actually get like Storm Razor's proc constantly. I don't think I've ever been that slowed in my life. I could not do anything. I was like raging the entire time. Like, why am I so slow? It's not the fact that it also slows, but it improves the effectiveness of other charged abilities like that, which I've never seen anything like it. It's kind of like when they introduced Ornn's new proc brittle, but they've now introduced this as in it changes the way every other energized attack is. It makes every other energized attack more effective, so it makes it a little bit more dangerous for the people who rely on that type of stuff.
Log, what do you think?
I think just like with Storm Razor alone, just like the buffs that I received, like the slow now, and like just like I don't know what this brings to the table now. Or I think Kog'Maw might actually just make a comeback to the marksman meta finally after so long, because of like what Storm Razor does. The more like obviously you charge up your what you have, and with the crits, with everything, attack speed is just such a great item for Kog'Maw. That's like kind of like chase down his targets, use that extra range that he gets, just like pelt them down with spit and vomit, and just drench him. Along with being slow, it just makes Kog'Maw a lot easier to play and a lot like more optimal. Like because that's where he kind of like was weak at first. He didn't have any item that he really bought. It like say if he started like Ginsu's first, or if he started Rage Blade or not Rage Blade, Blade of the Ruined King. Yeah, it's great and all. You have the sustain, but like you still need auto attacks to get them going. You still need like over time. But now Storm Razor kind of brings that damage, just straight up damage, plus like the charge, plus like the energy, like plus the slow. I don't know. I think it's gonna give Kog'Maw a good reign. But of course, along with a lot of other AD carries, like Jinx comes to mind with this kind of item. Caitlyn again. This like I think the Storm Razor is gonna be a deadly item. I think obviously it's gonna be built a lot. I think I'm gonna see a lot more of it, which might be good. I kind of like seeing the different spot like tastes of AD carry builds. But again, if an item is like this great and this good, as JP kind of talked about, it's like his struggles with this item when he went up against it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no reason for them not to build it.
Right, and there's one other item too that got dropped. A brand new item that we kind of saw a little bit if we played Nexus Blitz. I believe that was when this item was dropped in. What are your guys' thoughts on the brand new item that they added to the AD carry possible buy list?
The Spear of Shojin?
Yes.
Okay, so personally, I never thought of it as an ADC carry item. I never thought about it. It was more about a bruiser tank item, especially with the fact that they've finally reverted Essence Reaver back to where it was. They took the Essence Reaver passive and put it right back on that. So they did now the Spear of Shojin, it does not care about mana. It gives you health, it gives you damage, and then it also gives you that passive that when you activate your ultimate, once you basic attack for the next 10 seconds, every succeeding basic attack will refund 20% of the cooldown of every ability except your ultimate. It's going to be, I think it's going to be extremely good for bruisers, such as like Jax or maybe even a Sign, especially Renekton. Actually, I've looked at this. Renekton with Spear of Shojin, with just people who can really engage, get in there, and get their auto attacks off. It just absolutely shreds everyone within range. I don't think, personally, this is my opinion, I don't think Spear of Shojin is an ADC item. It doesn't really give them the necessary damage because it's really the pass of the item you have to look at. Yeah, it gives you health, it gives you attack damage. There's a couple other items I think that do that. I just don't think this item is for the ADC role specifically.
Log?
Yeah, I think it's not going to be like a core item for most AD carries. Like, if anything, like they'll build it if they choose to build it, it'll be out of like just like a very situational purpose. It's not going to be like, oh, it's like this many minutes into the game. Where's your Spear Shojin? Like, what are you doing? Like, get out of it. Like, no, I think JP's right when it comes to like, there's going to be a lot more like bruiser, like top laners. Like, I can see Camille using this item really well. I can see Olaf. I can see Xin Zhao. Champions that are just like up in the heat of it. They're what they want to like use their ultimates as much as they can, so that they can get that bonus from that Awakened Dragon passive, and just absolutely just wreck everything within a 30-mile radius of them, because that's what they want to do when they get into the middle of the team fight. They want everyone dead as fast as they can. That's kind of grants that with 50% attack speed, 20% basic ability cooldown, so you start spamming your attacks, spamming your spells, doing whatever you can, especially because you're using your ultimate immediately. So it's going to be more optimal for top laners, for junglers even, but when it comes to AD carries, might not see too much attention. I wouldn't be shocked to see it. Just like people try it out, and maybe it'll work out for them in favor. That's great. That's wonderful.
Do you think someone like Lucian could use it?
Oh yeah, I can see Lucian picking that up, because if he uses Blade of the Ring, or not Blade of the Ring, Black Cleaver, which also does a similar, it gives similar effects, like certain amount of attack damage and health, just different when it comes to the passive. I think someone like Lucian could benefit from that. Man, so many other carries I can think of.
Nora actually chimed in over here. Nora spoke up that says one champ people thought the Spear of Shojin would be good on is Riven. The passive is great, but the build order really sucks for her.
That is true. I mean, Riven lately has been pretty far down there, I think, in the top lane like tier list, and that's mostly
Actually,
because,
she's number one.
well, right now she is, because I think her itemization has finally gotten to the point where there's a more or less pretty clear build path for her. But prior to this patch, Riven was not the greatest pick. Like, there were a bunch of other top laners that do what she does but better. But now we see a lot of people say that she could easily be top of the tier list now. Why do you guys think that is? Is it because of Spirit of Shojin, or do you think it's just like the fact that some of the other top laners like Aatrox being nerfed a little bit, Sion also kind of receiving a little bit of the nerf bat, or do you think it's just itemization?
I think it's
well. Go ahead, Locke.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's more the champions getting nerfed, and like just like everything that discourages a Riven player. Like Sion is a freaking pain. I love going Sion into Riven, because even if you do feed, Sion's still gonna be relevant. All you gotta do is farm up and be safe, and all of a sudden, bada bing, bada boom, you got it. You got them. Like, he's Sion, for crying out loud. He can't die, and if you do kill him, he's gonna kill you anyways. It doesn't matter. And so, yeah, I think, itemization, like, yeah, that could be a factor. Maybe I don't think that's the main factor. I think Riven mains are now coming out because they see the freedom that Aatrox, which is gone. Well, he's not gone, but like Aatrox is a better version of Riven when you get right down to it. Everything that Riven can do, Aatrox more or less does better,
Yeah, 100%.
in my opinion. And so now with him gone, it's going to encourage more Riven players to kind of bust out their Rivens again. They're going to get back into it, see some more Riven mains. I think for at least as far as solo queue goes, when it comes to competition stuff like what we have running here, and then like LCS and LCK, whatever that may be that you watch, I think we won't see too much Riven, unfortunately, just because it's, again, our really risky pick. She's either all in, or she's just going to be a dead weight for the entire game. So, yeah, definitely a solo queue champion for sure. High risk, high reward. Of course, when you have Yasuo players, there's certainly going to be Riven players. So, that's my stance on the matter.
JP?
Yeah, so I was going to chime in. I think it's actually a combination of both, with the itemization and the other champions in the top lane that got nerfed that can actually... The reason why Riven top lane, I think, was not the best before was there was a lot of top lane champions that could just, out-tank her, out-heal her, and absolutely outmaneuver her, even though she does have quite a bit of maneuverability with her dashes, jumps, and constant stunning. But I think it's with the fact that she now has a different item that actually can benefit her in many different ways, not only giving her some health, but also like an all-in potential. Just if she can just get in the middle of everyone, she's just going to become an absolutely unstoppable force with the spear, just giving her that passive of every time she basic attacks someone. Her cooldown is already low enough as it is. She's just going to make it unbearably even lower. So it's just a combination of she's actually coming back, not only with the items, but with the champions that she could not face getting a little bit of a nerf, such as Cassiopeia absolutely dominating everyone. They gave her a little bit of a nerf to reduce her damage
That
and
is something we
upgrade
haven't
her
talked
mana
about yet.
cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do have that pulled up really quick. So her base damage has been lowered by 40, but the ratio has been upped a little bit by zero point 0.1. But it's really her W is what actually did it. The miasma, or however you want to pronounce it. The fact that the ability has a wide area and it roots everyone to the ground. So Riven cannot dash, she cannot jump. No one can dash, flash, or get out of it at all. So they increase the mana cost, they decrease the damage per second, and it severely decreased the maximum damage that it can do. So I think it's a good job by Riot finally balancing Cassiopeia back to where she belongs.
And in my opinion, she's always kind of been a tricky like person to kind of deal with, right? Um, Cassiopeia, she's very well known to be easily flexed into either top lane or into the mid lane. She's also very well known for just the sheer amount of DPS that she can dish out when it gets to late game. She's a very difficult champion to kind of deal with, right? Um, so these new changes, I don't think it's going to knock her down from top lane completely. I think she still can be picked top lane and still do really well, but she's not like an S tier pick in my opinion. I think now with the changes to Aurelia, even the changes to Aatrox, I don't think knocked him out of the top lane completely. But I think with some of the changes, I think Aurelia is still going to be played top lane now. She's not. I don't think she's going to be played mid lane anymore, but I think she'll still be played top. I think Jax is going to be played a lot more now with the Aurelia changes having been done as well because some people like LS, for example, Last Shadow, says that these changes to Aurelia basically make her like a slightly worse Jax, essentially. So we might see Jax played in the top lane a little bit. I think we're still going to see Sion. I don't think the changes to Sion are really enough to take him out of top lane, at least as far as like the top laner to be. Urgot didn't receive any changes at all, so I think he's still going to be up there as well. But I think these changes to Cassiopeia do make her still like she's just not as good top lane as she was.
Yeah, I think Cassiopeia, she's great now. I love her. It's one of those champions that for a while was picked on, beaten on, never played at all, and then out of the blue, just because of this meta going all over the place, she's finally played. She's finally like good in all positions now, not just in the mid lane. She can be seen top lane and even in the bot lane. But with these nerfs, I feel like Cassiopeia might be a little more restricted to the mid lane, maybe top lane for a direct counter on somebody, and then Sion and Urgot, those two are just champions that'll just be like good regardless. Of course, it will be harder to play them, and their weaknesses will be a little easier to exploit for players, but I don't think that'll make too much of a difference in just like how satisfying those champions are, how much what they bring to the table in each team fight and each like just like core team in general. It's just I'll be very shocked if like Sion doesn't get played at all during any tournament matchup or Urgot, or if they're not banned out or whatever it may be, because that's just how it's been. They're just like the dominant top laners. And Jax, I hate Jax in solo queue. That guy is so annoying once he gets fed. There's nothing you can really do to answer him. And so to hear that he might get some play, I'm a little nervous, but again, it makes sense. Aurelia is kind of out of the picture. Not too much out of the picture, but out of the picture from her dominant performance that she's had. We'll see a little more of the pocket picks coming out from each individual player, both like on the tournament style and on the solo queue style. So I'm pretty much in chime with all that. That makes a lot of sense to me, and I think I'm all about that.
Absolutely. So we're gonna wrap up 9.3 discussion here in a little bit, but from both of you, I kind of want to know, like, was there anything in this patch that you think Riot might have missed that you would like to see them kind of touch up on in the next patch? We'll start with Log.
still waiting for my Braum Championship skin. I'm sure it'll come out eventually. They're slacking right now, but I'm sure they'll pick it up eventually. But as far as actual gameplay goes, I think there's not too much that they really can cover now that they would on a regular patch update like this. I think the changes are good. I think everything's satisfactory for now. I'm sure something will come up and it'll be super annoying. Maybe Karthus maybe getting a little bit of a nerf in, I don't know, the jungle somewhere.
That is true. They didn't touch.
I'm really tired of
yet.
Yeah, that guy. I hate dealing with that guy on the enemy team. I love it when he's on my team, of course, but like when a good Karthus player shows up, it is not fun. It is very inconvenient to say the least, and that inconvenience leads to a lot of deaths and a lot of gold going over to the enemy team. So maybe some tweaks to him, but overall, I'm pretty satisfied with this patch. It's the nerfs, the buffs, what's kind of coming into the picture. So, yeah.
JP?
I think it's this patch has been treated very well. I do enjoy everything that the Riot has done so far with it. I'm not sure exactly what I think they may have missed, but one thing I do want to quickly touch on, it doesn't have to deal with 9.3. This is actually because of the new rankings. I read upon this before every challenger started complaining about it. Apparently, with the positional rankings, yeah, you might be, let's say, diamond in the top lane, but platinum in the bottom lane. So you would queue up bottom lane and then swap for top lane. So that would put you in a platinum game when you are a diamond.
Oh yeah.
So here's the thing though.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Challengers were already mad about this, but no one actually read the league letter that Riot posted. They already acknowledged this before the ranking systems came out. If someone does this, and because this is why if any one of you saw this after your post-match games, in the top right-hand corner, it would see, hey, did you play this role? If not, let us know. They were programming the game to figure out which lane you basically spent the most time in, and it would recognize, like, hey, you queued for bot lane, but you keep going top lane. So if you're just going to keep swapping lanes, we're just going to change your MMR. So if you queue in bottom lane and swap lanes again, you're not going to get platinum games, you're going to get diamond games. So eventually, if they do go back to bottom lane to try to actually get diamond from there, they're going to be put as a platinum bottom lane. They're going to be put in as a diamond bottom lane. It's something that they've already covered. It will happen, and Riot will address this, so no one can abuse the system like this.
Alrighty, and we have one more question about 9.3 before we move on to our next topic here. Coming in from Nora again. Nora wants to know, how do we feel about them gutting Camille? Me personally, I think Jungle Camille. Okay, obviously, apparently, somebody somewhere on the didn't like Jungle Camille, right? So they removed the stun from her hook shot, and that essentially makes it so that other champions now take her place as far as like who has better clear in jungle. I don't think it completely gutted her. Honestly, you can still play Camille jungle if you really wanted to. It's just your clear speed is now going to be slower than compared to the likes of Sejuani or Karthus even. Other jungle junglers that do it better. But what I do think that this is a sign for is that the Camille changes is a sign that Riot is trying to lean more and more towards tanky jungles again. Log, what do you think about that?
I'd be really excited for tanky jungles because then that again opens up the support range again to opting the more mages, opting the more just like I wouldn't say can't think of a good word at the moment, but like mage supports like Sona, Lulu, those kind of guys. So that'd be exciting to see. But yeah, I'm totally fine with the nerfs of Camille jungle. Glad to see a champion that could flex anywhere she wanted to. Well, not anywhere, but I like seeing flex champions kind of getting put in their spot a little bit, kind of dimming down that pool just because there's so many champions that can do what she can. She can go top lane or she can go jungle. I think it's good to limit her range and put her back into the top lane where I feel like she's still the most effective. I think she can get a lot more of a lead off, even if she doesn't do great. She still has the opportunity to farm up rather than if you're in the jungle and you're behind. There's not really much hope for a jungle Camille that's behind, at least from what I've seen and what I've noticed both in like pro play and in like solo queue play. So I think the Camille nerfs were proper. I would say it's like they had justification for it, and so maybe that result in buffs in her in the future. If they're too harsh, we'll see how this patch plays out and for the next few patches. But for right now, I think she's in a good spot, and I think if they're opting the more tanky jungles, that's great. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Gives brings back the good old tank meta back. Maybe opens up some new junglers.
Cyan.
Yeah, yo, Scion
I'm down.
might flex back into the jungle again. Woohoo! But honestly, Nautilus. I'd love to see Nautilus back in the jungle. He used to be a really dominant jungler back in the day. Rammus, I know Rammus got like a lot of. He spiked when the new patch came out. Rammus is huge right now as a jungler.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's so good. Like if you really think about it, with 80 carries jumping up as well. What's a perfect counter to 80 carry? Oh, Rammus. Duh. He has a little spell that counters every auto attack that 80 carry can throw at him. So
yeah, that is another thing too that I want to bring up as well. Another reason why I think Riot is trying to move towards tanks in the jungle this time around instead of some of the other picks is the fact that they've also increased the AD of Lord Dominic's Regard and also Mortal Reminder. So the fact that they're buffing those items a little bit to continue to keep 80 carries in, as well as making the changes, reverting the changes of Infinity Edge back to what it was before, with the changes made to Phantom Dancer, and the changes made to the other Zeal items like Static Shift, Rapid Fire Cannon, and also the changes made to Stormrazor. I think 80 carries right now definitely are going to be in the spotlight from now until the next patch, and that does mean that people are going to look to pick some more tanks to try to keep those 80 carries alive rather than the more, bruisery or assassin type junglers that we've seen like Kha'Zix and things like that. JP, what do you think?
I agree. I know you're happy about the ADC patch, Rev. I know you've been complaining about it for such the longest time.
Not just me. Everybody has.
But not just you, but everyone that plays ADC. Yes, that's true. Definitely with the tanks are such a necessity. That's why, personally, everyone's saying like, oh, Yasuo is so good top lane and stuff. I mean, all you have to do is bring a tank, and there's nothing he can do. It's just the fact that some tanks, especially like my favorite Cyan, with the infinitely scaling HP, not only on his W passive, but you can bring Grasp of the Undying for the procs, and you can bring Overgrowth, and it's just absolute insanity. The fact that he can get to the point to which almost no one can kill him. But a lot of the tanks are just such a necessity of going in. That's why I think we were touching on Lissandra bringing Aftershock. They need people to actually go in, people with dashes or something to go in, CC their team, and be able to take the damage and still get out of it. That's why I also think Lissandra's a very strong pick too, because she can dash in, she can get the proc of her Aftershock off, and then she can take the damage and then heal it all back with her ultimate. She's just a good, I think this meta is going to start bending around like the all-in type champions. Like the one button push is going to change everything instead of every other ability being used. It's just one engage can catch one person out and change the fate of the game.
Alrighty. So really quickly before we move on, I know I said that 3 times now, but one last thing before we move on. I just want to know, who do you guys think is going to really shine? Your top 3 champions who are going to shine in patch 9.3. JP, we'll start with you.
Okay, so as in like stuff that I want to see, or what we all want to see?
Who do you think, after 9.3 drops, who do you predict is going to really pop off in this patch? Who do you think, is it going to stay the same? Do you think nobody's going to pop off? Do you think it's just going to be the same people, or do you think like maybe one or two, a couple champions might actually be top tier now?
So, I hate to admit it, but one champion that will pop off, and I've heard very bad things about it lately, is Yasuo mains everywhere coming out back with the reverted crit items. And we talked about this at the very beginning, and it's going to be something that I think Riot's going to have to address. And maybe they'll rework Yasuo and take away his double crit passive just to actually like give him some balance, because getting 100% crit in maybe 8-9 minutes of the game is a very, very scary thought. Just the fact that someone can already start critting you, not to mention Conqueror doing true damage still. It's just you can't build up against that fast enough. So champions such as Ornn, actually, with his new passive that gives him extra armor and magic resist, are very helpful against Yasuo. So I actually think Ornn is going to start seeing some major comebacks, especially with the new IE. They finally, since they gave it that little bit of a buff, the IE change for Ornn will give anyone with the Molten Edge, which is the upgrade of the Infinity Edge, 110 attack damage. That is the highest AD attack damage item in the game. So that is something that if Ornn and Yasuo are queued together, that is something that will be very strong. As for my third pick, I'm not quite sure. I know they gutted a couple of the other champions that were actually pretty good, but I'm probably gonna say Sejuani too. She's been a big threat, and her ganks have been extremely powerful at level 3. So that's my three: Ornn, Yasuo, and Sejuani.
Log?
I'd have to say, with all things considered, all the champions out there, I think Sivir in the bot lane is going to be the most beneficial. I think she's going to be like a champion's going to be popped off, seen in every style of game, because she's just so good. I think Rammus over in the jungle, I think that guy is going to pop off as well. He's going to be really great, brings a lot to the table now. And, my last pick, it's tough. It's really tough to say, but I think I might think of it as Silas on this one.
Ooh.
I don't think we've talked too much about him. Silas is a brand new champion, and this guy is either no one knows how to play against him, or he is a straight up unbeatable. He brings so much to the table, so much respect off of him. He can flex jungle, he can go mid, he can go top lane. He's a really great champion. So something to watch out for. He can heal a lot. He does a lot of damage. The ultimate stealing ability is obviously what makes him famous, and those champions are really no other champions know how to use ultimates correctly. Devastating in the right hands, so I have to give it to Silas.
Alrighty, and I guess it's now my turn to give my top three. I think Caitlyn is going to be absolutely gigantic in this current meta now. I think you're absolutely right. Rammus also is going to be a very new pick that I think that not a whole lot of people are going to really take seriously, because honestly, it's just Rammus, just okay, all the time, right? So I think Caitlyn is going to really, really shine. I think Rammus is going to really shine, and I think I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm going to think we're going to see a lot more Jax in the top lane. Now that Aatrox got a little bit of a nerf, now that Aurelia got some nerfs as well, so I think we're going to see a lot more Jax in the top lane. And I think Jax does really well into Yasuo as well, if I remember correctly. So I think those are my three: Jax in the top lane, Caitlyn in the bottom lane, and Rammus in the jungle, agreeing with Log. All right, so moving on to our next topic here. We're going to talk about the league, the state of the league here at the League Esports. So we do have a majority of our match results in, not all of them, but a majority of them. Okay, we have up in number one. Okay, I don't think anybody expected this at all, right? But in our number one spot, we have Roman Oni going 4-0 so far, going into week number 3. Over in second place, we have Teriyaki Boys, the University of Utah mishmash of their JV and varsity team. Third place is actually really, really interesting, right? In third place, we have a variety of different teams that are in there. SULES came out of nowhere. After going 0-2 in week 1, they go 2-2 in week number 2 on both of their teams, actually. So now that puts them in the in a position to be able to take that, possibly take that number 3 slot. Another thing that we also saw that shocked me personally, actually, was Roman Crystal dropping 2 games in week number 2. They looked really strong, but they lost both of their games in week number 2, and they are now also in that third place spot. And finally, we have Vape.io going to be taking that other spot as well. So a 4-way tie essentially for third. And then in fourth place, we have Novasphere, who lost. They had a very difficult week 2, and they ended up losing both of their games. Spew as well, very difficult week, ended up losing both of their games, and they are both consecutively 1-3. And then we have Eclipse Fury, who is at the bottom of the league, unfortunately, going 0-4. So what do you guys think about how the current rankings are taking place right now as we're going into week number 3?
Well, this looks pretty balanced, honestly. You can kind of have a clear cut of like who your like your number one team is. You have an idea of like who your bounce back like watch out for these guys because they could pull an upset kind of teams. And then you kind of got like those teams that are like kind of the bottom that they're going to be. They honestly seem desperate enough to try just about anything to cheese you out of a win. So I'll be excited to see that. But this looks like a pretty standard week 3 of any tournament that I've witnessed. Kind of like you can kind of see who's kind of pull out of the ranks, pull out of like where's everyone kind of situating themselves at. So
JP, what do you think?
Yeah.
I think that it's going well so far. I think none of us completely expected Roman Oni to be, but you never know. Stuff can always change. But yeah, I'm happy to see that SULES A and B are doing well again. As I said in the very, very beginning, I want them to do well. And if we quickly switch over to what the next games are going to be, we're actually going to have SULES A versus SULES B.
Very, very highly requested, by the way.
This is going to be a probably most wanted to watch game. This is probably going to be the highlight of the evening, and it's going to be a big time event that's going to happen. But I definitely think so far everyone's has their up and downs. I've said this before. If you find an advantage, you push on it, and you never stop. And I've seen it in a couple games. Like you get an advantage. I've seen it. They take the advantage, and then all of a sudden they stop taking it. They try to shift it somewhere else, and that completely throws off everything they've tried to do. So I definitely think there's no worry for especially Eclipse Fury to be worried about everything because there's still a long way to go. So I'm also rooting for Eclipse Fury, and I definitely think there's always a chance to come back from anything.
Absolutely. So, Log, is there anything about the current standings that does actually surprise you?
I'm surprised of we got the 4-way third place here. Like, two of them being teams that probably scrim against each other and like play against each other very often and know each other very well. I think it's going to be kind of exciting to see like which team pulls ahead out of both of those teams because both of them have a lot to offer and different in a variety of ways. Not just like they're both their mid laners are great, both their like junglers are great. It's like one team's got a really great jungler and the other team's got a really great mid laner. One team's got a really great top laner. One team has a really great support. It's like mix and match. So it's gonna be really exciting. Like who's gonna like falter there? Who's gonna who's gonna break out of 2 Southern Utah teams? But that's what I think is like the most interesting. I'm excited to see like what happens there, especially with that next matchup coming up with when they verse each other. But I'm also excited to see what's going to happen with these lower tier teams, the 1-3 and the 0-4 right now. Like, what are they going to pull out of the bag? Like, they could, these teams like you could see anything. Like they're gonna go for whatever. They're gonna study their next opponents and they're gonna like go for whatever it takes to win. They're gonna cheese them out of their victory. Maybe they can pull a weird pocket pick that no one will know how to counter against or play against. It's anything's possible for these guys. And whereas like the top tier teams are kind of a little bit more predictable. They're gonna try and stick to the meta. They're gonna try and stick to what's strong. The lower tier teams, I think, are gonna like try and find something new because obviously what they're trying is not working. So they're gonna spice it up. We're gonna see some new content, I think, every week out of these guys.
Absolutely. I think what I one of the like I think you hit it on the head. I think a lot of people are really excited to see which one of the SULES teams is going to come out of their shell and take that third place spot from the other. In-house rivalries is always a lot of fun. What I also kind of want to see as well, I want to see who can bring down Roman Oni. Right? Is Roman Oni going to drop a game in the regular season, or are they just going to be the clear runners, runners up for that number one spot going into the end of season tournament? That being said, chasing them not very far behind are Teriyaki Boys. The only loss that they've suffered is actually against Roman Oni, and I would really like to see those two start to really fight each other for that number one spot there. But over on the flip side as well, I would love to see Eclipse Fury get their heads out of their butts and finally get a win in week number 3. Nothing would make me happier than to see Eclipse Fury come away with one win and get rid of that goose egg that's in their wins slot. On the other side of that, Vape.io actually really surprised me. Okay, I wasn't sure how good Vape.io was going to do, but as you can see, they are currently a part of that four-way tie for third place with SULES, A and B, and as well as Roman Crystal. So I'm actually really impressed by Vape.io's performance so far in this tournament.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know. We got some spicy stuff coming on. We've if you want to do some comparisons here, Roman Oni, the Team Liquid of the group, obviously they're going 4-0, and then you kind of look down, you kind of see the what's it called, the Golden Guardians, where they've got like a lot of potential, they've got a lot of power, they've got a lot of reliable players and champion pools, but they can't pull it up. Maybe it's a teamwork, maybe it's something in the comms, maybe it's something there. Like, I don't know. I like making those kind of comparisons, kind of get an idea of which each team's coming from, and what they have to do to kind of pull out from this deficit that they're in, or to maintain what they've already built up. This lead that they have built up, what they've got so far. And then for the teams in the middle, they might even try what the lower teams want to do, maybe spice things up a little bit completely, or if they want to see if they can still best the upper tier teams at their own game at trying to be the best, and maybe they'll bust out the Blitz app or op.gg and start analyzing their playstyles. What are they playing in solo queue? What are they doing? Spectating the games, whatever it may be. That's I'm really hoping that each team tries to pull it out, just actually put a lot of effort in this team, and not just kind of going in just oh, here we go, good luck guys, good luck, have fun. I really hope that each and every team will really devise a strategy to either maintain their position or to keep climbing the ranks.
Absolutely. I think that we're going to have a lot of fun, I think, in week 3 as we begin to because we only have 6 more weeks until the end of season tournament. We have 9 weeks of our regular season play, and we are in the 3rd week of that. So one thing that we haven't really talked about either are Gladiators and Team Very Nice. Unfortunately, they couldn't play their off-stream game, or not their off-stream game, their on-stream game on Tuesday last week. So they are currently both sitting 2-1 right now. So whoever wins this game, whoever wins that game, against each other, will actually get them into that second place spot along with Teriyaki Boys. JP, want to chime in?
That is true. Yeah. So we're still waiting for Gladiators and can I call them TNV? Team Very Nice, TMV,
TVM,
TVN. Oh my God! Wow, I butchered that. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because we haven't seen the Gladiators and Team Very Nice face off yet. So it will be interesting to see what happens when they finally get their positional rankings, when one team joins 3rd spot and one team joins the 2nd spot. Technically, someone's going to make it a 5-way, 3-way tie, 5-way, 3rd place tie. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming weeks. Who's going to actually go against what? So I think it'll be a little bit of madness to see. It'll probably have to be Teriyaki either against the Gladiators or Team Very Nice. So that'll make for an interesting game.
Well, they
But
do play
I,
each other in
yeah,
week 3 on the alternate stream.
that is true. I do see that.
So it'll be interesting to see where those two teams fall when they do play their rescheduled matchup. So we have about 10 minutes left of the stream from the delay earlier, which was my fault. Um, so I guess from both of you, actually from the three of us, we're going to talk about who we think is going to looking at the week 3 matchups. Okay, which can be found in the LOL announcements channel in our Discord. Okay, looking at those games that we have lined up there. Okay, what are your guys What are you guys gonna predict? Is going to How do you think? Sorry, let me start that over. What are you guys' predictions for who's going to come away with the wins?
All right, hear me out. I'm not bandwagoning here. I'm
Oh
not.
boy,
I'm
Oh,
not doing
sure,
anything.
that's how it all
but
begins.
here we
I
go.
think Roman Oni got to their position for a reason, and I don't. I with a 4-0 start, I don't expect them to drop any more games. I'm hopping on that bandwagon. However, I do think their biggest threat that I know without a doubt it'll be Southern Utah LES A team. I think they have a lot to bring to the table. I think that they're slacking right now. I think that if they can kick it into gear, I know that they've got a lot. Like there's a lot of potential in each of their lanes. Even though this is a big boy team they're up against, the Roman Onis, I think they've got what it takes to kind of like swoop in and start taking some W's. Just I don't know, man. I've seen these guys in action more than I've seen anyone else, so maybe I'm a little biased too. And maybe I'm living in Utah, so
So you're
that might have a
bandwagoning and you're
factor.
biased.
Yeah, so
Oh
I'm the
man.
best type of analyst here. But yeah, I think it's gonna come into those guys. I've seen a few of these teams play. I don't. Maybe I haven't seen too. Maybe they're holding back. Maybe we're not seeing everything they have to offer. I really hope that's the case because I want some spicy action. I want some highlight reels. I want literally interview. I want whatever it takes to get these boys going because honestly, the top 3 are looking pretty devastating.
Absolutely, JP. What do you think?
I definitely think I do agree with you. SULAS A and sometimes B. Don't get me wrong; they have two teams. Are very strong, and I've seen them from their worst to their best, and they've done very well in every situation. Another thing that I just found out, I should have looked at this earlier. It is going to be Roman Oni versus Roman. So that sadly that game won't be on our stream next week. But what would Roman Oni feel like if they actually lost to Roman Crystal?
It would be really interesting, right? Like we talked about one sister matchup, SULESA versus SULESB, right? But we do. You're right, JP. We have two matchups between two sister teams, right? We have Roman Oni going up against Roman Crystal. Now, uh, I think it goes without saying that a lot of the times those two teams scrim each other a lot, right? SULES tends to scrim against SULESB a lot. I'm sure the Roman Oni team scrim against each other a lot to kind of, keep their skills up, keep their skills sharp, and things like that. So it'll be really interesting, right? Like, it kind of goes into what I was going to make a prediction of. I think Roman Crystal might be one of the few teams that could beat Roman Oni. Honestly, right? I mean, if you got to think about it like this, right? They probably played against Roman Oni a lot. They probably scrimmed against him. They're in the same organization, so they are bound to know how each other plays. So I think the best chance for Roman Oni to drop a game, besides going up against a team like maybe Teriyaki Boys or SULESA, I think the only other chance for them to drop a game is going to be against Roman Crystal. So I'll be very interested to know the results of that particular matchup. But JP, what else do you got?
Um, so I'm also looking here. We have a couple different things. We have Eclipse Fury having a couple different games, such as Eclipse Fury versus Team Very Nice. So that'll be interesting to see where Eclipse Fury hopefully can pull out a win, hopefully, and get their spirits up. I'm very sure of this. Their spirits are not broken. They are going to fight till their last Nexus is taken. Not there's not more than one, but I mean, just kind of being said. Um, but I definitely think they're going to fight with everything they have, and they will be pulling out a win sometime here soon for all of their fans and watchers.
Definitely. I guess for my predictions, I think I'm gonna be ballsy, and I'm going to predict that Roman Oni loses to Roman Crystal, and that they get their first loss of this season so far. Okay,
Bold statement.
a very bold statement, I know, but I think, like I said, I think Roman Crystal might be one of the few teams that might actually have a chance to beat Roman Oni. So I'm going to predict that they succeed against all odds, and that Roman Oni drops a game. That being said, I think SULES A is probably going to beat SULES B. So in the matchup between sisters, I think that's going to be the result there. Um, I think Eclipse Fury probably has the best chance to get a W away from Nova Sphere Gaming, but they're not going to give it to him very easily, so we will have to see. But I believe Eclipse Fury might actually come away as the victors in that matchup there as well. Other than that, I don't think too much is going to change. I believe Teriyaki Boys is going to come away with possibly 2 wins this week. I think Gladiators is going to go 1-for-1. I think Spew is possibly going to go 1-for-1, but they might very well go 0-2 this week. So we'll see. But the big highlights that I want to reiterate are Roman Crystal beats Roman Oni, Eclipse Fury beats Novasphere Gaming, and SULES A beats SULES B. Log, do you have anything you want to add, or are you happy with your predictions?
I couldn't be more satisfied with my predictions. I'm very confident in this what I've got going on here.
All right. JP, anything to add or change about your predictions?
Not really. I'm set with mine.
Alrighty, guys. Well, there you have it. Our predictions are in for week number 3. Now all we have to do is wait until Tuesday. So, do you guys have any closing thoughts? No?
I'm
Well,
good.
I do kind of want to. I did mention in our topic page a quick little update to what's happening with Conqueror, if I'm allowed to.
Yeah, you gotta. We'll give you 2 minutes to talk about it.
Okay. So, for those of you who don't know, Conqueror has been a massive, massive threat with a lot of like engaging champions, such as one of my personal favorites, Darius. Just being able to get the kind of percent true damage, the bonus attack damage, and just the absolute abuse of early lane. What they're going to do, it's not confirmed yet. It is in a PBE stage, and they're still tweaking it. I think it might be final though. They are no longer having Conqueror stack on minions before you have to proc it. It has to proc on enemy champions, and it will go up to 5 stacks. Each stack actually giving you bonus AD and AP based upon what you're building. Um, and then not only that, but once you get to max stacks, that is when you hit the peak of the bonus adaptive force you've been given. And also, that's where it will give you 10% true damage. And actually, Conquer will start healing you for 10% of the damage you deal for a reason. So they're making it to where you actually have to fight enemy champions to proc it instead of charging it up on a minion farm wave and then going in. So it definitely helps gut the people who actually can push in early and get the early advantages off with Conqueror, but now it poses the threat of champions like Kale absolutely destroying the competition with Ginsu's and Conqueror constantly healing her. So I think we're going to have to watch out for a lot of people who can attack extremely fast. You may start seeing some ADCs with Conqueror.
Alrighty, thank you very much for that, JP. Now, before we close, you guys have a couple minutes to plug whatever you want, I guess. So, Log, do you have anything you want to plug in really quick before we end the stream?
Nope.
Such a humble man. JP, what about you?
I got my thoughts off.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys very much for tuning in to our stream here. It's a podcast series that I would like to do every Saturday if I can. I have a wish list of things that I want to do to make this look even cooler. Some of those are having, uh, highlight reels of some teams in the background that we talk about a little bit. Maybe having like gameplay in the background or things like that. Who knows? Or this could just be a straight up audio podcast where all you have to do is just use your ears and listen to what we have to say. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to this podcast. And don't forget, we will have Black Ops 4. That league is going to be started on Monday. So please tune in for that one. Support the guys playing Call of Duty for your viewing pleasure. Tuesday, we have our League of Legends Week 3 League night as well. So tune in for that one as we will have some awesome matchups for you guys on stream. After that, on Wednesday, we have StarCraft 2 with Dark Voice from EDF and Jimmy Schmo as they cast more StarCraft games for your pleasure. And then on Thursday, we are back with Rocket League as well as we begin to take off literally and figuratively in Rocket League. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please feel free to leave us a follow. Consider subscribing if you have Twitch Prime. Remember, it is free. This video will also be found on our YouTube channel, so feel free to check out our YouTube channel as we will have we're planning on coming out with a lot more content for our YouTube channel as well. Anyways, that is going to be it from me here at The League Esports. This is Revenite saying have a good night, and remember to take care of each other and yourselves. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Good night.